The results of recent scientific research don't let us fall into illusion. Genes determine our future partners, bacteria in the gut determine our diet, and neurotransmitters determine our tendency to agree with the outer world. There is plenty of practical and theoretical evidence that material world and physiology determine many things. Does it really depend only on physiology and matter? What about our consciousness? Our next speaker, Olga Naimushina, how to differentiate between a goal and a primitive desire. Naimushina Olga, Assistant Professor of Information Technologies and Applied Mathematics of Mayfair University, candidate of Pedagogical Sciences, research interests are connected with programming and natural sciences. In the framework of the research on the difficulties of testing students, Olga Naimushina published several works in licensed scientific magazines and a monography, Multifactor Evaluation of the Difficulty of Tasks on Physics, Hobbies, Music, Plays the Piano. Good afternoon, dear participants. Please let me present my report. One moment, I will open it. How to differentiate between a goal and a primitive desire. As an epigraph, I chose the phrase from the 12th canto of the Bhagavata Purana. Filling the belly will become the goal of life. Every person from their own experience can say that there are plenty of thoughts racing in our head, which can be either interconnected or not. I am again being late for work. I will have to stop at the red light. Those pedestrians, why can't they stay at home? Green light. Hurry up, I did this. Which mark did my son get on geometry? I hope he got a 5. I spent half of the night making the visual aid. We can see that our thoughts jump from one thing to another. Where do they come from? We should look at the scheme based on Vedic literature. There is the physical body, cross-covering, that we can see with our eyes. Our subtle body consists of false ego, which makes a human think he is a human, and a dog thinks he is a dog. They identify themselves with their body. And there is our individuality itself, soul, I. That differs Vedic scriptures from religions. Not I have got a soul, but I am the soul, and I have got a body. We can make a very interesting conclusion. If I am a soul, then I can't be happy by bringing happiness to my coverings. The gross one, the body, or the subtle, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. The Bhagavata Purana indicates 4 basic bodily needs, so-called primitive desires. They are the same for all living beings, regardless of their form of life. You can see how these pictures are similar. Sleep, food, sex, though romantic, and revenge. In human society, the revenge is mostly psychological rather than physical, blaming, justifying. All 4 basic human and animal needs are the same. By satisfying these needs, animals are happy. But people know. Why? Because their intelligence is higher. The mind has the following functions: think, feel, desire. All desires, including primitive ones connected to bodily needs, spring up in our mind, and it contains desires and emotions that can be expressed with words: want, don't want, like, dislike, I wish, if only. The functions of our intelligence are: doubt. A person is not sensible if he never doubts and takes everything on faith. The second, misconceptions and true ideas. Understanding that you have committed a mistake. A person who always insists on their own opinion without considering any other arguments and does not acknowledge mistakes is not intelligent. We need our memory to learn from our mistakes, but better from others. We need sleep to recuperate our ability to analyze. Research has shown that if we do not get enough sleep at night, our reaction and thinking speed goes down, brain parts responsible for planning and assessment become less productive, so our intelligence can be described with the word must. Vedic scriptures describe two kinds of activities depending on where they come from: mind or intelligence. Prayas pleasant gives satisfaction at the moment, but Shreyas gives us the highest good. They are antagonistic. In the first case, a person acts on their own whim, does not pay attention to other people or the consequences of their actions. This is the lower activity connected to the body. It's the same for all living entities. Our epigraph refers to prayers. On this slide, you can see how senses, mind, and intelligence relate to each other. This is described in a famous Vedic scripture, Bhagavad Gita. According to this scheme, intelligence is higher than mind. Mind is very important. We can see that it can be influenced by senses or by intelligence. Intelligence sets a goal. For example, to get an education, a person comes to a particular place, studies, communicates with others, and gets new impressions that cause emotions. This is the right correlation between mind and intelligence. However, on the level of prayers, the intelligence is so weak that it becomes controlled by the mind. The mind says, I desperately need this, and the intelligence analyzes how to get it without evaluating the desire and the consequences. This is the level of primitive desires and unconscious goals. Let us exemplify it. In a family, a child was told to buy milk. For our convenience, we will call this goal local. It is needed to solve a particular task. In a shop, the child sees something very tasty. He faces with a dilemma what to buy. The answer is not always evident. It depends on the dominant alternative: I want or I need, mind or intelligence. And the goal is not necessarily achieved. If we increase the time interval and apply this scheme for adults, we can see that actions like sleep, work, shopping happen systematically or in a cycle. The goal is survival. They apply to a bigger time interval. It can be called global. The dotted line shows a fragment we have considered earlier, so to sing from a height. One more example of praise is the discovery of the reward system in White-Rate's hypothalamus. Their brain was stimulated with an electrical current, and they spent hours pressing the lever 8,000 times per hour. The electrical current gave them such a pleasure that they completely ignored food, water, danger, females. If the experiment wasn't stopped, they died from thirst and hunger. This shows how dangerous it is to satisfy desires generated by our mind without analyzing their consequences. Let's carry out a mental experiment. Imagine you are on an excursion in a well-reputed scientific research institute. They tell you about recent findings and say, we have discovered that if a particular part of our brain is stimulated with an electromagnetic field of a particular frequency, you will feel extremely happy. That cannot be compared to a nice sleep, food, or even sex. You can enroll, the price is reasonable, there are discounts for a whole month. What thoughts come to your mind? Write them down and analyze. The functions of intelligence, doubt, and memory should work. The rats died. Dangerous. Intelligence protects a person from drug and alcohol addiction. The natural human desire to be happy is replaced with some primitive desires. However, if we set goals that will benefit us in the future, this is Shreyas. Before setting a global goal, we need to get knowledge, because we should make efforts to confront the current desires of our mind. We should analyze the possible ways to accomplish the goal, expected result, method, deadlines, and other possible difficulties. The famous Stanford marshmallow experiment serves as a good example where intelligence is higher than mind. 90 4 or 5-year-olds participated in the study. They were given one marshmallow or cookie and told, "You can eat it now or wait for 15 minutes and get one more." The researchers announced this and went out. The children were left alone under surveillance cameras. They tried not to eat the marshmallow straight away, but the majority failed, and the ones who waited for 15 minutes were given one more. The experiment continued over a long period of time. The researchers were aware of how the children's lives went on and discovered an interesting pattern. As for the children that resisted the temptation for 15 minutes, their intelligence dominated over the mind, the level of mental and physical development, time management skills were better. They did not have any problems with drug addiction, obesity, or immoral behavior, so they were more successful in life. In order to use this report in practice, I suggest answering several questions. Do I have a conscious goal? If not, then you lack knowledge. The information from the Bhagavata Purana will help. If there is a goal, you can assess it. Does it go beyond survival? In what way will it be useful? Common goal setting mistakes. The first, it's unreal. For example, I want to know everything. Some time ago, there was a TV program with such a name. Now, science is multifaceted and specific. As a rule, scientists work in teams. It's impossible to achieve this goal. The second, using wrong methods. For example, the goal is to live a long and healthy life. The researchers have found out that if the method is to sleep longer, at the certain stages of sleep, the heart rate slows down to 40 beats per hour, 2 times slower than the normal. If you sleep a lot, your brain several times enters the stage of a low heart rate, which causes heart attacks. In the second picture, the chosen method is vegetarianism. This is the right method, but if we do not pay attention to food preservatives, the results will be weaker. Yoga is also suitable. Which goal is right? The one which is the most beneficial. We have discussed local short term goals and global long term goals, such as preserving our health, but Vedic scriptures go beyond global goals. It is said that after the body dies, life continues, and according to our karma, the soul enters the body it has created with its own thoughts and actions. But the Bhagavata Purana and the Bhagavad Gita go beyond getting a new physical body. It is said that a soul can get out of this material world and go to the spiritual realm where there is no birth, disease, old age, and death. In the spiritual world, the soul, to its full capacity, can love, associate, be happy, and make others happy. When a person advances spiritually, the main fear, the fear of death, goes away, and its derivatives. The joy comes, the suffering goes away, the life and death cycle ends. A person goes to the spiritual world. If the goal is to leave this material world and to go to the spiritual one, the intelligence performs its functions and the life becomes successful. This is a super goal. To think that almost all local and global goals can be integrated into it. This is an all inclusive package. For example, if a goal is to maintain one's health is submitted to the super goal, there is the following train of thoughts. To come back to the spiritual world, we need a special instrument, the human body. We have got it. It needs to be well maintained. We need to feed the body with pure food, maintain work life balance. If we have a sedentary work, we have to go for a walk to maintain the body healthy. healthy, so the primitive desire to fill the belly can be transformed into the super goal, spiritualized, so to say. Live in the future is nice,
Жить в будущем — это, конечно,
but
хорошо.
how
Значит,
about
жить легко
living
или
in the
проще?
present? Will
Изменится
our
ли
life
она, если
change
поставить цель в
if we set a
соответствии с
goal
Бхагавата
according to the
Пураной?
Bhagavata Purana?
Конечно, точек
There are
зрения «кто
many
я»
points of
и
view
«зачем
of
я
who
живу»
I
имеют
am and what
множество.
I live
Из них
for.
можно выделить
There
три
are three
основные.
main ones. The
Группа
majority
номер
of
один
people,
составляет, наверное,
about
больше
90%,
90%
belongs to
всех.
the first one.
Философия
The
или отношение
philosophy
к миру и
is
себе
the following:
следующее.
I'm this
Я —
body.
тело,
There is no
Бога
God.
нет.
The ultimate goal
Наивысшая
is to
цель —
enjoy life
выжить
to the
из жизни
maximum.
как можно больше
This
удовольствия.
philosophy
Эту
can be called
философию можно назвать
unconscious. All people
неосознанной,
who don't
потому что
think
ей
about the
следуют
goal of
все,
life
кто не
or haven't
задумывался о
found
цели
it
жизни
belong
или не
here.
нашел ее.
The second group:
Группа
I'm
номер
God
два.
covered with
Позиция
illusion.
следующая.
The
Я
goal
Бог,
is to
покрытый иллюзией.
come out of
Цель —
illusion and
выйти из
become
нее,
God.
снова
A
стать
person who
Богом.
belongs to this
Человек,
group
который
is a
находится в этой группе —
transcendentalist. He is sure
трансценденталист.
that he
Он
is not
уверен,
this
я
body.
не тело.
The main
Основной
drawback
минус
is the
такой
concealed
концепции —
desire to stop
скрытое желание
individual existence,
прекратить индивидуальное
becoming one
существование в
with the
связи с
Absolute.
Абсолютом.
The third
И
group:
еще группа
I'm a
номер
part
три.
of God,
Я
His
частичка
servant
Бога,
covered
Бога,
with illusion.
покрытая
The
иллюзией.
goal is
Цель —
to
выйти из
get out of
иллюзии,
illusion
снова
and
осознать
realize
себя
I
своего
must serve
Бога.
God.
Это
This is the
философия
philosophy
Бхакти,
of Bhakti
описанная в
described
Бхагавата
in the
Пуране.
Bhagavata Purana.
Индивидуальность
I keep
сохраняется.
and
Более
regain my
того, она как бы
original individuality.
восстанавливается до
Each
присущей
group has its
изначально.
own values,
Каждая
but
группа
since
имеет свои
the
ценности,
philosophy of
но так
life
как
greatly
философия или
influences
представление
our
о жизни
gross and subtle
оказывает
body,
огромное
and
влияние
in
на
some
то,
time
группы и
becomes
силы,
evident,
и
we
через
can
некоторое
consider
время
how a
начинает
person in each
проявляться,
group
можно
will feel
рассмотреть, как
at the
будет
end of their
чувствовать себя
life.
человек в конце жизни в каждой группе. Группа номер один.
The first
Время
group:
старости — это
old
будущий
age is
человек,
inevitable.
неизбежный
The
период в
body
жизни.
becomes
Тело
old.
начинает
The ability
отказывать,
to see and
ухудшается
hear,
слух,
its strength
зрение,
decreases.
уменьшается сила.
Elderly people
Счастливыми
are
пожилых
happy only
людей
on bank and
изображают только
healthcare
рекламу
adverts.
банков и лекарств.
In
В
real life,
обычной
they
жизни
discuss
обсуждение
illnesses and how to
болезней, кому
treat
что
them,
помогло и
struggle to
подсчет,
make
хватит
ends
ли
meet,
пенсии на
have
лекарства и
no light
прожитье.
ahead.
У этой группы нет никакой
The
светлой
old and
перспективы.
doomed to die
Сейчас я
body
старый, больной,
makes a
скоро
person
умру.
self
Больное
centered.
тело
A
требует все
person
большего
continues to
сосредоточения на
survive.
себе. Человек по-прежнему живет просто для
But
того, чтобы
usually,
выжить.
when a thoughtful
Легко
person
обычно
becomes old
появляется старость
and
и
helpless
опыт.
to find
Но если он
happiness in
осмысленен,
this
то
life,
человек, разочаровавшись найти
if
счастье в
freed of
течение
the
жизни
end,
и
they
страшась конца,
start to
начинает менять
change their
жизненные
life
установки.
conceptions.
Способность обучаться и
The ability
изменяться —
to
одна
learn
из
and
функций
change is
разума.
one of the
На слайде
functions of our
показаны
intelligence. On
гистограммы
the
и
slide, you can see
количество
histograms and the
гистограммы
amount of
количества
faithful
верующих в
people
России в
according
соответствии
to
с
their
возрастом.
age.
Вверху
At the
гистограмма и
top, there is
график
a
на основе
graph
данных,
based on
полученных в
data from
1937
1937. If we
году.
present it
Если
in the form of a graph,
представить
it is
гистограмму в виде
placed a
графика,
bit to
чуть
the
ниже
right.
справа
There
она
is a
изображена,
nice linear
то средние
correlation.
возрастные промежутки, то
Approximation
наблюдается
reliability
хорошая
is
корреляция с линейной
0.99.
зависимостью. Достоверность аппроксимации при этом составляет
At the bottom,
0,99.
you can see a Russian
Внизу это
2019
всероссийский
poll.
опрос в
There
ЦИОМ
were
в
50,000
2019
times
году.
less
Выборка
respondents,
уже в
and the
50
question
тысяч раз
was
меньше.
narrower:
Вопрос
Are
ставился
you
тоже более
Orthodox?
узкий.
But
Являетесь ли
both
вы православным?
diagrams show
Но на обоих
people
диаграммах
tend
в
to
принципе
accept
видно,
God
что после
and quit the
60
first
лет
group when
тенденция
they turn
принимать Бога
60.
или выходить из группы 1 стабильно увеличивается.
In
В
the
группе номер
second group,
2, если
if
практика
practice
велась
is correct,
правильно, в жизни
then in the end,
наступает
person
отрешение.
becomes
Человек
renowned. They
спокойно
continue
относится к
their practice
жизненным
in
невзгодам
peace.
и
On
продолжает
the slide,
практику.
you can
На
see
слайде показан
Sri
Шри
Avathuta
Аватхута
Brahmananda
Брахмананда
Maharaj, who
Махарадж,
belongs to the
последователь
Advaita
школы
Vedanta
Адвайта
school.
Веданты. На этом
On that
слайде
slide, you
представители
can
группы
see
номер
the
3. Они
representatives of the
практикуют
third group
бхакти-йогу.
who
В
practice Bhakti
отличие от
Yoga.
группы
Unlike
2,
the second
основное
group,
настроение
in the
не
mood of
отрешение, а
renunciation, they
радость.
are
Таким
joyful.
образом, цели,
So, the
которые
goal set
человек
by a
ставит,
person
влияют на
influence
его
his
самоощущение и могут приводить
self-identification and
или к
can lead to
состоянию
frustration or
безысходности, или
satisfaction
к
in tough periods.
удовлетворению и радости в
We will
тяжелое время.
consider factors that affect the
Рассмотрим факторы,
achievement of our
которые влияют на
goals.
достижение цели.
The
У
ballistic
баллистической
missile
ракеты очень
has
много
many different
разных систем.
systems.
В ее
In
так
its so-called
называемом
brain,
мозге,
the guidance
системе
system,
наведения,
the main
основой
component is the
является
gyroscope.
гироскоп.
No matter
Как
how
бы
the
ни
missile
кувыркалась
turns
ракета в
around in the
воздухе во
air,
время
due
полета,
to the
с помощью
gyroscope, it
гироскопа она
maintains its
не сбивается с
orientation.
курса.
The same way,
Точно
if
так
a
же и
person
человек,
sets a goal,
поставив цель,
he should
должен
stay
держать ее
focused
в
to go
фокусе.
in a right
Тогда он
way.
будет двигаться в
Now,
верном
we will
направлении.
distinguish some
Теперь
factors that
попытаемся
influence
выделить
our
некоторые
speed.
факторы, влияющие на
Sometimes
скорость
We run towards the
Иногда
goal,
цели бегут,
go or
иногда идут,
crawl.
а иногда всегда
The
ползут.
main factor is
Основной фактор– это
determination. It
решимость.
depends on
Тут
how
зависит
clear and
ясность и
urgent the
понимание
goal
цели
is.
и осознание
It
ее
is useful to
необходимости и
remind
неотложности.
yourself
Очень хорошо
about
об этой
this
цели
goal,
себе напоминать,
communicating with like
общаясь с
minded
теми, у кого
people.
такие же цели
Their
и ценности.
values,
Их
words,
слова,
determination, and
убежденность,
experience
рассказы о собственном
reflect in
опыте
our mind
в uме
like in a crystal
отражаются как
on the
кристалле
light
при
and
освещении
contribute
определенным
to our
светом и
determination.
поддерживают
The next
решимость.
factor is
Второе– это
patience.
терпение. Это
This
график
graph
зависимости
demonstrates the
результатов от
correlation between
времени был
results and
приведен
time. It was
Джейсон
made by
Клиром в
James
книге
Clear in
«Атомные
his book
привычки».
Atomic
Белым
Habits.
цветом
The
показана
direct white
прямая–
line
это
is the
ожидаемый
expected
прогресс,
progress, but in
достижение
reality,
цели.
there
Но в
is a cumulative
действительности
effect.
наблюдается
In
кумулятивный
the
эффект.
beginning,
И поэтому в начале
there
есть
is a
область
period of
разочарования,
frustration, yellow
желтый
color.
цвет.
Our efforts
Усилия
lead
есть,
to no
эффект
result,
практически равен
but
нулю.
in some
Но
time
через
the
некоторое
result can
время
be
результат
seen. And
появляется.
what's
Более
more,
того,
it
он
grows
растет
faster when
быстрее, чем
expected.
ожидаемый прогресс.
The
Следующее–
next
это
one is
систематичность.
regularity.
Один
One
спортсмен
sportsman
тренируется
trains
4 дня,
every 2 days
другой
and
один раз
another
в
one
неделю.
once a week. The
Эффективность,
effectiveness is
конечно,
clear.
понятна.
The next
Далее
one is
ограничения
limitations
или
or
аскетизм.
austerity.
Ярко
This
выражен в
was clearly
фирменном
demonstrated
эксперименте.
in the marshmallow
Виды
experiment.
ограничений не
You do
нужно
not need to
придумывать,
make
они
your own
должны быть
austerities and
основаны на знании
limitations,
и
they should be based on
рекомендациях
knowledge
и
and
не приносить
recommendations
вреда
and be
организму.
harmless. If
Если
it seems
кажется, что
that there are
ограничения
a lot of
много,
limitations, it is
рекомендуется вводить
recommended to
пошагово,
introduce them
когда
gradually
предыдущим
when the
появилось
previous one has
привыкание.
become habitual.
Итак,
Considering
второстепенных
secondary
факторов
factors and
и
minor
даже
things,
мелочей.
Jean Clair describes
Например,
an
приводит
interesting
интересный
case.
случай.
Cyclesport in Great
Велоспорт в
Britain
Англии был
was in
сплоченным
decline, but a new
состоянием. Но
trainer
пришел
came
новый
and
тренер
introduced
и
some
внес
changes that can
изменения.
be seen
Они
on the
показаны
slide.
на
Our
слайде.
time is running
Из-за
out,
недостатка
so we
времени
dwell
ожидать
on the
только
last one.
последний.
The team's van
Грузовик
interior
команды
was painted
выкрасили
white to
изнутри
see little
белым
dirt
цветом,
particles
чтобы
that could
выявить
enter the
маленькие
bike
частички
mechanism.
грязи, которые
The
могли
results were
проникнуть в механизм
astonishing. They
велосипеда.
became visible in
Результаты
5
были
years,
потрясающими.
60%
Они
of
стали
gold
проявляться
medals in the
через 5
Olympic
лет.
Games in
50% золотых
2008,
медалей на
9
Олимпийских
Olympic
играх
and 7 world
2008 году,
records in the
9
next Olympic
олимпийских,
Games,
7 мировых рекордов
regardless
в
of the goal
последующих
we have.
Олимпийских играх. Значит, какая бы цель ни
All
была
the factors
поставлена, при
should
ее
be
достижении
considered.
нужно внимательно относиться ко всем
As for
факторам, которые
transcendentalists,
могут повлиять на результат.
groups
Так,
2
если
and
рассматривать
3, the
трансценденталистов, то есть
practice will be
группы 2 и 3,
successful if a
практика
person
даст
is
хороший
aware
результат,
of the
если
modes of
человек
nature,
обращает внимание, например, на
cleanliness,
качество и природ
accuracy,
природы,
regularity.
поддерживается ли чистота, аккуратность, систематичность и так далее.
It's high
Сейчас
time to
время
ask
задать
yourself a
тебе еще
question.
один
Do
вопрос.
I use all the
Использую ли я
resources
все
to achieve the
ресурсы,
goal
чтобы
faster?
быстрее достичь
And
цели?
one more thing to consider,
И еще
how
один
does the
небольшой список.
intelligence influence
Разум
the
влияет на
mind
ум, а
and
значит на
consequently our
желание.
desires?
Согласно
According to
схеме,
the scheme,
ум
the
тесно
mind is
связан
closely
с органами
connected to the
чувств. Он
senses. The
получает
mind
от них
gets information
информацию,
and
делит на
divided
приятно и
into
неприятно
pleasant and
и в качестве
unpleasant and
реакции
reacts with
вырабатывает
creating
желание
desires.
«хочу-не хочу».
We can use
Можно
it
слушать
as an
ум,
additional
используя
way to
разум как
satisfy our
вспомогательное
desires.
средство
If we
получения
set
того,
the
что
right
хочется.
goal,
А
we
можно
turn
поставить
out to be
правильную цель,
in
оказаться в
a
нужное
right
время,
place
в нужном
at the
месте
right
и
time
загружать
and
ум
give
через
different
чувства уже
impressions to the
другими
mind.
впечатлениями. Технически такая связь,
Technically,
она
the red
выделена
link
красным, называется
is
связью
called the
по
control link.
управлению.
You can
Итак,
squeeze
можно
enjoyment out of life,
жизнь
satisfying the
выжимать из
needs of the
удовольствия
body
из
and the mind.
удовлетворения потребностей
In this
этого ума.
case, the
В этом
intelligence
случае
is
разум
weak
слабый и
and is
используется
not used
неправильно.
correctly.
Человек
A person
получает
gets a
сиюминутное
moment enjoyment
удовольствие и
and remains
остается
dissatisfied.
неудовлетворенным.
But if we
Однако,
set
если
a
на
right
основе
goal
знания
based on
ставится
knowledge,
верная цель,
choose
выбираются
adequate
правильные
methods,
методы для ее
consider
достижения,
main and secondary
учитываются
factors,
основные и
the goal is
второстепенные
achieved.
факторы, то цель достигается.
The
Бхагавата
Bhagavata
Пурана
Purana
обозначает
states the
проблему.
problem
Цель
filling the
жизни
belly will
сведется к
become
тому,
the
чтобы
goal of
убить животных.
life.
Да,
This
это
prediction
предсказание
will come
сбудется,
true.
но в то же время
At
есть
the
еще
same
одно
time,
предсказание
a
о
period of
вкраплении
golden
золотого
age
века
is
или, как
also
еще говорят,
predicted, or so
произойдет
called
квантовый
quantum
скачок.
leap.
Поэтому,
So you
конечно,
can go
можно
with the
быть
flow,
гением.
or
А
you
можно
can
с
use your
помощью разума
intelligence to apply the
воспользоваться
knowledge
знанием,
which
освещающим
enlightens
жизненный
our
путь,
life path.
ставить цель,
Set the
достойную
goal
человека, и
appropriate for a
достичь ее.
human being and
Благодарю
achieve
вас
it.
за внимание.
Thank you very much for your attention.